Sacred Harmony. Today's episode blends science, sound, and soul as we explore the healing power of music and movement. I'm joined by J'Nai Danielle Zugates of Meraki Sacred Healing Co, a trailblazing holistic practice founded by two registered nurses who saw the cracks in healthcare system and stepped up to create true healing spaces. We'll dive into the signature Meraki Walk experience, a mindful movement journey powered by healing music and deep somatic wisdom. Let's step into alignment together. Welcome to the show. It's an honor to have you.
Hello, I'm J'Nai, and then I actually have my business partner with me too as well, and this is Stephanie.
Hi, everybody.
Yes, we are two nurses with combined experience of 35 years. We decided to leave the traditional healthcare system in the United States and start our own holistic business, blending science and soul in really healing the whole body. We have our slogan that means healing within, shining throughout. And our big mission statement is to empower others to heal themselves through the use of ancient tools, music, modern science, and definite deep self-awareness.
That's amazing. And your journey from frontline nursing to holistic healing is so inspiring. What sparked the creation of Meraki's Sacred Healing Co. and how did the Meraki Walk come to life?
So what started the inspiration of it is really with how we're practicing in healthcare right now. We are very limited on what we can say to our patients and also how long we can spend with our patients. I think that's the biggest thing that was getting us was we didn't have enough time to be able to provide the compassionate care that we wanted to. How the Meraki Walk actually started was I walk my boyfriend's dog every single day. She is a pit bull. Her name is Shelby. And through the process, I started really understanding the importance of course, getting the vitamin D from the sun, engaging with the nature. But I did some research in sound frequency, music frequency, and specifically Tartarian music. Tartarian music is a Mongolian type throat singing that has a different frequency that has actually been used in ancient practices for grounding, spiritual insight, and emotional regulation. When I started using it on myself, I actually opened up my own intuition, shared it with Stephanie, and she started getting her own intuition. And we realized in the process of doing these walks every day, we were healing our own anxiety and depression, getting clarity. And actually, our company came out of just walking every day and discussing what we have found in the inspiration on our walks.
That's amazing. And what's one change participants typically notice early on when they incorporate these healing tones?
So, unlike modern music, the frequency of Tartarian music helps with the body and brain. It's if you know anything about healing frequencies, you have the God frequency, which is 963. There's also like 567 and 480. There's a whole bunch of different hertz that are based off of how to go ahead and regulate your nervous system. We can get into science of that during meditation. When you can regulate your nervous system, it actually gets you on a different thinking and healing frequency, which actually changes your brain chemistry. So it affects it. The way we tell people is it affects it kind of like a tuning fork. So depending on the frequency of the guttural sounds, there's also guitar mixed into it as well as violins. Depending on the frequency that it comes out, you can get either more of a happiness frequency, you can get a healing frequency, you can also get an inspirational frequency. And what happened with us is after surviving COVID, we were both working as frontline nurses during that, as well as going through our own traumatic experiences in life. We realized that when we were actually changing our brain chemistry based on the frequencies that we were listening to, mixed with vitamin D, which I'm actually going to have Stephanie clue in on this of why vitamin D in from the sun is important in getting your frequency to match in the overall healing process. So I'm going to let her do that real quick, and then we'll go ahead and explain the different frequencies and actually how it changes your brain chemistry.
Yeah, so vitamin D is really just like the sunshine food for your body. When the sunlight touches your skin, it's not really a vitamin, it's more of like a hormone. And it kind of helps your body do a lot of really important things. It really unlocks doors, like it helps your bones stay strong, it keeps your immune system smart and calm. It helps your mood feel lighter and brighter through the frequency of the energy of the sunlight. It even helps your body know when to sleep and when to wake up. And when you go outside and you feel the sun, your body really remembers how to heal. And it's really something that like no pill can fully replace. So that's really kind of the benefits of it, and why we prefer to be outside in the sunlight and getting the sun through your skin versus taking it like through a supplement. You don't really get the same like phytochemical, through the sunlight through your skin. And that really changes your bioelectric field, which is the same thing that's happening with the frequencies and the music that you're listening to. So when you're doing those two in combination, it really creates a synergistic healing effect, because you're getting the bioelectric field and the modulation from the sun interacting with your skin and your eyes and your pineal gland. And that really affects the frequency of your body. And then along with the auditory frequency changes of the music, it really, helps to, the sun even helps to like synthesize nitric oxide. And that really helps like reduce inflammation, which can, reduce your blood pressure. And again, something that supplements can't really replicate.
And so when we mix it with the healing frequencies of the Tartarian music, when your cells are activated completely by getting the healing properties of the sun, it actually, like she said, it completely turns on the mitochondria of the cell, which then turns on the neurons in your brain to actually change and grow. There's been scientific evidence that listening to meditation like music or doing meditation, you can actually, I'm sure you've heard of manifestation and all that kind of stuff. That is how it's actually done. It's actually done by creating new neural pathways. Now, people, we're such a busy, busy life that trying to get somebody sit down for 30 minutes or even 10 minutes to try to do a meditation, their mind goes somewhere else. However, mixing it with the vitamin D, it activates the cells that they're ready to go ahead and get the information that they need. Then when you mix in the music, it adds a walking meditation, which is powerful because what it does is it puts you in a rhythm and it goes ahead and gets your body kind of tuned into going, okay, we're going into a rhythm. So then people who have overactive imaginations or, if you've tried to meditate, you're sitting there and all of a sudden you're thinking about what laundry you need to do or who you need to meet in 2 hours. And all of a sudden you realize, oh my gosh, I lost 10 seconds of my meditation. I need to get back focused. But when you're actually walking outside, listening to the rhythmic meditation of the Tartarian music with the vitamin D, you can focus in the world around you. And what you'll kind of start to notice is your brain and your body reflect an energetic field. We are made of energy. So the way that we explain that to our clients is when you're at the hospital and someone has a seizure, we're measuring your brain waves. When we're measuring your heart on a heart monitor, that's your energy, that's your frequency. So you do carry that. What's amazing about it is when you have the vitamin D mixed in with the meditative walk and the music, the animals in the environment around you actually do interact with you as well. So what we've noticed on these walks is me especially, I see hawks all the time. And hawks are actually symbolic of a divine inspiration. So I don't know, have you ever noticed when you've gone for a walk and like let's say you're kind of frustrated, but then at the end of the walk you kind of just feel lighter and you feel like, oh my gosh, I can come up with the ideas of what I needed to get done. Has that happened to you?
Definitely. It's happened to me.
Yes. So that happens because all of the world around you is in sync. And it really works the most outside. We are not meant to be creatures inside. And so that's why we really carried it outside. And it helps release this anxious energy without needing to sit still. We're in such a fast paced society now that sitting still is virtually impossible. Everything is just so instant. So walking goes ahead and silences that overactive stimulation of the brain. So you can actually create. And that's what humans were designed for, is for creativity.
Absolutely. And I love that you're bridging both ancient wisdom and modern science. It makes deep healing accessible and so grounded.
Yeah, and actually we do include that in our walk as well, a big grounding part of it. When you actually ground and connect with the earth, which we want people to do, I either tell them to touch a tree or touch the actual ground. I don't know if you've heard of the shaman resonance, but the earth actually has a frequency of its own. It's 753 megahertz. And so humans, again, we have our own energy frequency, but we are actually able to in sync with other energies. So when you actually touch the ground or touch the tree, you are then syncing your body into the energy frequency of the earth. And what that does is actually helps hormone regulation. It helps blood pressure. It helps anxiety. It helps depression, because you all become part of the earth. In just one touch, we are actually very cool beings. And we are the only, from what I've studied, the only thing on this planet that can do that. Animals do touch the earth and everything like that, but they cannot get the sync of the frequency. Only humans can, and that's because of our advanced brain.
Absolutely.
And so,
Movement.
sorry. So what we do is we really definitely recommend this as it's actually central to our practice. We start all of our clients out on learning the Meraki Walk because, one, it's easy to do. So if we can see that they can go ahead and commit to walking 30 minutes a day, then we know that they can commit to healing themselves and commit to our program. And we actually do a 5-day walking challenge where it's a progression. We first teach them how to just go out and walk. Then we teach them how to just pay attention to the environment around them. We do recommend trying to get out of an urban environment, but we currently both live in a city. So there's actually, where I live, there's a lake not too far away that has an 8-mile radius around it. So it's plenty of space to feel like you're out in the middle of nowhere. So we don't want an urban environment. We want as much nature as you can get. I don't know if ever you've noticed, but everyone just seems always at peace when they're in nature. And this is why, because our energy field actually picks that up around us.
That's great. And movement and sound together can be so powerful. Why is mindful walking such a key part of this healing method, especially for people recovering from trauma or chronic stress?
Again, it's the putting the body into a rhythm. And when it's into a rhythm, it goes ahead and it opens up the hippocampus of the brain, which is your creativity center. So when they say that, like, you can't think your way out of a box, that is what they mean basically, is when we're in our environment of the busy hustle and bustle, we can only think of things in our immediate environment that can go ahead and help our problem. So what we do recommend people is, if you're going through something, walk with intention. So before you even start, for example, let's say you had a fight with somebody at work and you couldn't understand why, and you couldn't understand, was it this me or was I overreacting? If you go into the walk saying, hey, how could I have handled this different? How can I fix it? Can I repair it? If you went ahead and did it into the real world, you're just probably going to get yourself more wrapped up. You're going to catastrophize. You're going to think of, well, they did X, Y, and Z. And it just becomes basically an anxiety bowl that just never gets resolved. When you're out in nature and you're in that rhythmic episode of walking in meditation, you change your brain wave frequency. For example, most of us are living, sadly enough, in fight or flight mode, because everything, again, is very instant. We always are constantly thinking about the next meeting, the next person that we have to talk to, the next bill that has to be paid. And so our body is always on high alert, which is going to set you up for disease, because your cells are going to be trying to focus on trying to keep you alive instead of trying to keep them on thriving. And so that's where cancers start to develop and everything like that. However, and those are beta brainwaves. And again, 90% of us live in beta brainwaves. But when you get into even just a slight meditation, you raise the frequency of your brainwaves into alpha, delta, and theta. And those frequencies actually activate different parts of your brain, your creativity, your intuitive side, and all that as well. So then when you're walking in that, ideas that you couldn't even think possible in the beta waves come in. And that's when you're like, you can get massive inspirations. People who have intuitive abilities or psychic abilities have more inspiration when they're out walking or they're on those frequency brainwaves or they're having the meditation experiences because that opens up a different sense of your brain that you're not using in the beta waves. So mixing the meditation walking with the rhythmic meditation and then the Tartarian music on the certain frequencies, what already throws two sources to get you to that new alpha, at least alpha, if not theta, brainwaves, which opens up the whole world of possibilities that otherwise we wouldn't have been able to see. It's kind of like dogs and cats can see different colors than what we can. When you're on those different frequencies of like alpha and theta, then you can have different experiences and possibilities that you weren't able to think of before.
It's beautiful how something as simple as walking can become a profound act of self healing when done with intention.
Correct. It has to be done with it. Well, it actually doesn't have to be done with intention. Like I walked out there, so I do it every morning. I walked out this morning and I didn't really have an intention. And I all of a sudden had like 6 new ideas for us to do with our clients. And what we want to go ahead and do with our my family for this weekend since it's Mother's Day coming up. And so it's you never know. I always call it kind of like an adventure surprise. You never know what's going to come in your brain. Sometimes I get like a little year in review, or I'll just go back to like a childhood memory. And in that childhood memory, I'd be like, oh, that's what was going on. And so then when you like, a good example is I went through a traumatic experience that bothered me for probably the last 20 years. And then in one of my walks, and all of a sudden I had an inspiration of the victim or the guy who victimized me. I almost kind of saw his side of what was going on with him. And I didn't forgive, well, I did forgive him, but I was able to understand how it happened and not be so angry or so blaming myself. A victim blaming is the big thing. And this really helps you see possibilities and different sides that you never knew were possible. And so when we work with our clients specifically, like I'm a meditation coach, when we work with our meditations, I don't make our victims or the people go back to that experience wholeheartedly. I make them tell a different story to it. So when you're in the meditation or even on that walk, tell a different story to that situation because your brain doesn't know what's real and what's not real. And it's so crazy how if you can believe a different story of an event, how now all of a sudden that event doesn't matter. And that's how it can change your past to change your present to change your future. Because then all of a sudden in the present, if that's all of a sudden not bothering anymore, then imagine the future. The future of your life is the limit. Like it's no longer holding you back. You're no longer a prisoner of it.
Absolutely. I really like to on my walk incorporate things like, fresh fruits and vegetables before doing my walk. That
Absolutely.
really helps hydrate and gets you kind of your body and your cells into a place to actually accept these frequencies. 70% of our body is water. And if we're dehydrated and not, nourishing ourselves properly before we do the walks, that can really have an effect too. There's lots of antioxidants and lots of vitamins and minerals that really make pure harmony when together with the walk and the sound and the frequency.
And like the biggest part that people are really struggling with life right now is they're just overwhelmed with so much information from the holistic world, the ancient worlds, and all that, that they want to just kind of put it all in one. That holistic healing is not a one size fit all, but what we found out with the Meraki Walk and certain adding in the different foods that are we call them high energy foods. It activates your cells, gets them ready to go, and then mixed with the vitamin D and mindful walking, what it all does is it does nervous system regulation. It gets your circadian rhythm going. It does blood pressure regulation. It actually decreases inflammation. And again, it activates creativity without needing a therapist and without needing a supplement. So when you're doing it that way, it is all of a sudden a one size fits all. And it's a safe way because you really can't hurt yourself. The coolest thing with this too is for those people who cannot walk is the very first day of our walking challenge, we do have modifications for those who are wheelchair bound and bed bound because we do feel that it's very important for them to also, especially for our bed bound patients who are like, let's say they're rehabbing, if they can start this now in the bed modification, then their healing is going to speed up exponentially and also their mental health.
That's great. And you have seen real transformation in your community. Can you
Oh,
share a story of someone who has experienced deep healing through the Meraki Walk?
sure. We actually can I share two real fast? So we're actually
Mhm.
working with a cancer patient right now who has esophageal cancer, and he actually has lived in a cabin all by himself his whole life. And we are actually working with him, and he is so resistant of like the therapy world and very skeptical of even like the mystic world that meeting him on the outside basis and just talking to him about nature and how the energy, like water, for example, water is amazing and it carries energy and it remembers energy. So when we can connect with him outside and just show him the cool things about the world with him, then all of a sudden he can open up his brain and not be so restrictive. When we've started doing this with him and adding a couple of foods like juicing, Steph put him on a great juicing cleanse and has worked with him with a couple more supplementations. His oncologist now has actually delayed his cancer treatments, chemo, and surgery till August and has told us that, or told him actually, that whatever he's doing is working and he's never seen anything like it before. So he wants to keep him going, and it's amazing. We're working with another girl who has insane crippling anxiety, and just with 2 days of walking, or 2 sessions with walking with us, and then also talking a little bit through some more meditation techniques to do in the walking meditation, she has completely turned her outlook of life around and then also set healthy boundaries with work and her significant other. And just seeing her glow now is so beautiful to know that we've only done that in just a couple weeks with her.
Absolutely. It's been an amazing journey to watch and,
It's
many more to
beautiful.
come.
Yeah.
And those personal stories bring everything to life. They show
Yes.
that healing is possible even in places we feel stuck.
Correct. And it's just amazing to see how people who don't have any self-esteem and self-worth, literally almost after 1 or 2 walks, have a new profound, love for life. And that is what we found is we did not realize, I was in my own personal darkness when I started this. I mean, to be fair, I wrote a suicide note. I mean, that's how done I was with the world. And now, every time I go out, I just can't believe how much more pretty and how much more hopeful and how much more inspirational the world is. And it's really a great place that I don't want to leave it now. It's too
Yeah,
beautiful.
absolutely. It's been really transformative for me too, especially, just getting out and being in the nature. And I've just had so many profound switches in my mental, the way that I'm thinking, the things that I'm thinking. And that's also translated into other parts of my life, relationships, financial, all of these things have been kind of a mix of the walk kind of started it all. And I really
Yeah.
just want to help other people understand that, this is something that you can do yourself, and it's not something that requires a bunch of your time. Even just the 30 minutes every day, it can have profound changes and it's not something that you need to commit to for hours and hours a day. It's micro changes, and changing your schedule, creating a routine, all of those things really do impact your overall health, happiness, mood, and it can be really impactful.
And the doctors weren't wrong. They always recommend, yeah, go walk outside, but they just didn't go into like the 7 different layers of how important to walk outside and what you're supposed to do during that walk. We added in all the details because that's I mean, we feel like the doctors are missing those now. It's just a one size fit all, quick scribble on a prescription pad and out the door you go. When we really want to go ahead and tell people like the secret of it, which is all these steps of the sound, the meditation, going with like with an intention, because you can change your world almost overnight.
Yeah, and it does, the walk does include some journaling prompts too.
Yes.
Just to do some reflections before and some reflections after, to kind of help prep you for that walk. What is my intention? What am I going to work on? How did it change after the walk? How was my day after? And just some awareness type things, because change really starts when you start becoming aware and you start realizing that you're thinking this way or you're doing things this way and it no longer serves you. And it starts with an awareness. And that's what kind of the walk and the journaling and the prompting helps you figure out, because it's specific for everybody.
Correct.
Absolutely. So, thank you for sharing your vision and the incredible work you're doing with Meraki Sacred Healing Co. And to our listeners, if you're ready to reconnect with your body and soul through mindful moments and music, explore the Meraki Walk. Remember, every step you take with intention is a step towards